Welcome to the Thought Leadership Series featuring interviews from some of the best minds in the industry. Today's special guest is popular platform speaker and best-selling author, Don Spini. Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and talk show host. In this segment, we're going to talk about one of the sales power tools, the statement of great importance from Don's book, 60 Seconds to Yes. The sale of great importance. Now, what's that all about? You call it, I think you have an acronym, you call it SOGI or something like that.
Soji.
Right? Soji.
Soji. Yeah. And also it's a Japanese word for door.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a great power tool. So, one of the concerns that salespeople have, and we're talking about this buyer conditioning. So my whole program and process and my mission is to get you ready for my presentation from a position of high interest. We invest significant time in that process. It's the most important part. So we call it buyer conditioning, and I call it a red card conversation. It's just a conversation. But how do I start you in that process? Salespeople struggle in our industry on just how to start this whole process. How do I initiate your interest at a subconscious level to get you conditioned for my presentation? So the first thing I do, and again, these are not templated and just canned presentations. The first thing I want to do is to test the water and test your interest, how far you are in this process. That's what the statement of great importance does. All it does is trigger your subconscious mind, and I want you the image I want you to imagine is if you're walking through the woods, just on a nice journey, and all of a sudden over here a bush starts to rattle. You're going to focus and look at that bush. You're going to be on high alert. You're going to be ready for something. You don't know what, but you're mentally preparing yourself for something. That's what the statement of great importance does. It prepares the buyer to get ready for this process.
So somehow it's an intention getter.
Yes, absolutely.
Pulls him off his path. Maybe his peripheral vision catches it and he wants to go and turn to it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so can you give me an example of that?
Absolutely. And the way you'd structure this is pretty simple. The subconscious mind is only tuned to listen to certain words. See, in sales in particular, we talk about bigger, better, more. Retire, with a lot more money, and those things are important. Those things do not trigger the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind, remember, that's a survival mechanism. That's what the subconscious mind is there to do. It's listening for certain words. So if I want to say to you, and I want to say, hey Steve, it's critical that you want to retire with a lot more money. You're going to say, yeah, who doesn't want to retire with more money? That doesn't trigger anything in you. That doesn't really pique your interest. If I say to you, it's critical that you don't die broke. Now, I'm saying the exact same thing two different ways. But when I say it, based on what we just talked about here, it's critical that you don't die broke. That's going to have more trigger mechanism in you than retiring with a lot of money.
So did I just hear you use a survivorship skill versus some generic statement
Absolutely.
that everybody would normally respond to with nothing?
I'm very careful I craft that. If you think about the words I use, it's critical, die broke. Your subconscious mind is going to hear those words go, wait a minute. It's going to put that subconscious mind on high alert, getting them ready for the next step.
When you're looking at this, and I'm trying to hear this idea of the statement of great importance, in your arsenal, how many of these do you have? Because you don't use the same one.
No, absolutely not. And the skill is to be able to do that without having canned statements of great importance. That in conversations, so if you're sitting down with me, we're having a conversation, you're going to say something that's going to help me, a skilled influencer, build that statement of great importance. So yeah, they're different in all different situations, but the key is not necessarily all the situations. It's the words we use that trigger the subconscious mind. More, better, bigger, best doesn't work. Stop, prevent, eliminate, avoid. Those words right there trigger the subconscious mind and put us on high alert.
Okay, so let's go back to your high alert statement. Okay, I don't want, the client says, of course, I don't want to die broke.
Correct.
So now what's the next step off the statement of great importance? You made it, I responded.
That's right.
I looked at the bush, I'm uptight.
That's right. And you even do something right now that I'm looking for when I deliver a statement of great importance. Now what I'm looking for is if it worked. For example, their eyebrows go up. You're right, Don, I don't want to die broke. When I see the eyebrows go up, they don't even know that's happening. They've been put on, by their subconscious mind, the survival mechanism, on high alert. And then I listen to that, I don't want to die broke. And then I have a matrix. Okay, did they ask me for help? No. They responded, they said, you're right, Don, I don't want to die broke. I move to the next power tool. So there's a method here, but the method is driven by the buyer, not by me. It is not a canned presentation. So when they say that, I'll move to the next very simple power tool, but they've just given me all I need to know. Here's what that statement means. They're really there to say yes to something, and by the way, they're just about to buy from me, and they don't even know why they're even there. That's a mystery. It's a little bit of a teaser, but you have to watch what happens next.
Now, I notice in your seminar when you do unpack all this, it doesn't really matter what area you're in, whether it's true financial planning and you're an advisor and you have assets under management, or you're an insurance professional, there you have statements of great importance for every one of these genres.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in your seminar, you unpack that and you give a lot of examples of that and so
Absolutely. And people need to understand too, when you're building your website or you're building brochures, people want to read about them, not about you or me, the salesperson. So when I build a website or when I build a brochure, I put statements of great importance all throughout that to trigger their subconscious mechanism.
All right, so I just heard that we're dumping some traditional adjectives that we've been using, this more, this better, this best, that does not move people.
No.
So these, it's kind of like, if you don't mind me saying it, sounds like a little bit of shock value.
Well, people ask me, is this being negative? I say, no. Listen, understand this, folks. This is what the subconscious mind wants to hear. The primary purpose of the brain is not compassion and love and spirituality. The primary purpose of the brain is to keep us alive. That survival mechanism is compelling. You want to speak to it because it's looking to stop bad things from happening to this person. The good stuff comes with it automatically. More, bigger, better. That comes with the decision automatically. But that doesn't motivate action. Stopping something bad from happening motivates action in the buyer. You got to trigger that mechanism.
Well, for more information on the statement of great importance and how it can impact your practice, just click on the landing page address in the video description. We'll be right back with more from Don Spini.
This is your website. Few people visit, and if it isn't attracting new visitors, it's not doing its job. Now you can drive more visitors to your website through dynamic content and email marketing with CreativeOne's Social Media Elite. Capture quality leads faster and easier. Engage your visitors with informative articles and videos to boost your online credibility. Plus, stay connected with existing clients and earn more referrals. All content is customized for you. It's time to introduce your website to the world. Call your CreativeOne sales team at 800-992-2642 or visit us online at creativeone.com.
In this segment, we're talking about one of the sales power tools called the menu from Don's book, 60 Seconds to Yes. Well, when I think of a menu, I'm a kind of a food concierge, kind of cuisine guy. I think of, here's the menu. When you talk about the menu in your power tool, right? This is a sales power tool. Yes. Why don't you walk me through the basic idea of the concept and then give me some examples?
Yeah, and I'll say to people, I don't know how anybody ever sold anything without this tool. It is the simplest, easiest tool in the world. And it basically works. We think about a menu, and I ask people kind of rhetorically, when you go into a restaurant, why do they give you a menu? Well, it's a list of choices, what they do. Well, what if a restaurant didn't give you a menu? How annoying would that be? Well, that's how most people sell. Most people never really understand what the true dominant buying motive of the person that is in front of them. They never get to that. So what happens is if a restaurant doesn't give me a menu, what they might have to do is they might have to cook every meal and have me taste every meal. That's not a good way to run a restaurant. The menu is an efficient tool in a restaurant. It's an efficient tool in sales. Here's what it does. You got to think about this. There's three reasons why people will say yes in our industry, and you have to create a finite space. The three reasons why people will say yes to anything, it relates to time, it relates to money, and it relates to stopping bad things from happening to them. Those are the three, what I would call dominant buying motives, the reasons why people will say yes. And our products and services address all three of those. But that person's there for one of those reasons more than the other. If we don't know that, how do we present to this person? I need to know that. So if I ask you, for example, Steve, I say, well, which one of these is most important to you? Retiring with all the money you can possibly imagine, or just having to be able to retire earlier and have more time with your family, or just to sleep better at night. Now I want you to listen carefully for those decisions. I address time, money, and peace of mind in all three of those, but it sounded kind of natural. Now we're just doing it right here. But I want to know from you which one of those is most important to you. And why is that important? Because when we get down to the presentation, you're going to tell me which presentation you want. If you don't pick an item off my menu, how do I know what to present?
Now, are you saying this like in a first contact scenario here
in the
with
very
a client?
beginning of the process, we've been talking about this buyer conditioning. This is part of buyer conditioning. I delivered my statement of great importance to you, and you go, you're right, I don't want to die broke. And I'll say, well, let me ask you this. That aside, what's most important to you? Retiring with a ton of money, retiring earlier, or just peace of mind, not to worry about this stuff? You're going to look at me and you're going to pick off that menu. And when you think about the book, 60 Seconds Yes, the publisher designed the title around the power tool of the menu because of how easy it makes the rest of the process.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I get this, and so everybody that's watching,
Sure.
This is a critical issue. It
Yes.
sounds like you're serving up something here that's a kind of a game changer in a way.
Yep.
If I'm done with I got down to the decision-making process, so we did another episode. But now we're talking about I have to give the client a choice. Just like you're right, I would never go to a restaurant without a menu. Especially if it's a new one. So I have picked 3 different areas that are trigger points. The client's going to, and I'm going to answer one of them. I'm going to say, yes, I want peace of mind. I want to be able to sleep at night. I don't want to hassle this. So that's my high end. That's high for me.
Right.
So how would you respond to that? Now that I picked one, I picked it out. You gave me 3. I picked it out. What now?
Now listen to the power of what you just did. You selected off my menu. Think about the restaurant. When somebody picks off the menu, what have they just done in the very beginning of the restaurant experience? They just bought. Mm-hmm. Now listen to this. Because you just bought in the beginning of the restaurant experience, they haven't cooked it yet, and you haven't paid for it yet. But the restaurant knows what you want, and now they have to just go cook that meal and satisfy you with that one meal. When somebody picks off my menu, like you just said, I want peace of mind, 60 seconds, yes. Yes, it's a cheesy name for a book, but understand what happens at the very beginning of this process. Steve just came in and told me, one, he has a need, and he just told me what he needs or what he wants. He said, Don, I want to sleep better at night. I want peace of mind. He just bought from me. Mm-hmm. That person just bought from me. It's not over. I got to hang on to it, and I got to do further conditioning. But now, think about this. You want peace of mind. I know what presentation to give you when we get to that. Mm-hmm. If you don't tell me that, we don't identify that, how do I know what to present to you?
And you already have this ready, locked and loaded, ready
That's right.
to go.
All my presentations are ready, but now I know Steve wants the peace of mind presentation. It cuts my presentation time down, which you'll find out is critical, by 1/3. But if you don't do that, I don't know how people sold without it.
Let's just keep it within the financial and insurance realm. How many of these menus do you have? You just talked about 3 now. Is there several?
No, I try to keep it in a macro concept. No matter what we're all talking about, when there's a decision to be made, it tends to, in the financial world, fall into those 3 buckets: time, money, and peace of mind. And we have to be able to address all 3, and our industry does. But how in the world can I possibly get you to say yes to something if I do not know what you're there to say yes to? I need to narrow that down.
So if I have financial insomnia, which is basically what I just picked off what you said, and you know how to now service that, you have a presentation that's going to fit that, and that's the next step after I've selected off the menu, I validated it, and now you have the presentation ready to go.
But here's the point. It's not a canned presentation. I have to watch how somebody picks off my menu. So if Steve says, I want peace of mind, I have to go through my matrix. Did he ask me for help? Did he say, can you show me how to get peace of mind? No. He's not quite conditioned yet. That's why it's so important not to rush to the presentation. You want to, because we have the peace of mind presentation. You have to be patient. He's not ready. When is Steve ready? When he asks me for the presentation from a position of high interest, and I've conditioned him to do so. You haven't done that yet. You just said, I want. That's right. So we're not there. You're hungry. You're not starving yet. I need to make sure the presentation doesn't start till you're starving, because I don't have to have the world's best presentation when you're starving for it.
Well, for more information on how you can use this menu, it's a huge power tool to help build out your business. Just click on the landing page address in the video description. And don't forget, you can follow us on social media, and don't forget to visit our website. I'm Steve Savant. We'll see you next time on the Thought Leadership Series. And remember, keep thinking outside the box.